Good morning. This is Ellie, Maimuna, and Michelle, and we'll be presenting on the Philly Free Streets program. Historically, roads have been designed with cars as the main users in mind, and as such, they serve as a convenient connector for motorized vehicles. However, they often feel like a barrier for other modes of transportation. The lack of comfort non-motorized users feel towards streets can often dissuade them from participating in active transportation means, when in fact the design users for streets must and does include pedestrians and cyclists. To promote citizens' higher participation in active transportation, the Philly Free Streets project was introduced. The aim of this project is to promote walking and biking along streets of Philadelphia to encourage the inclusion of streets as a part of healthy and livable communities. The Philly Free Streets project was first introduced in 2016 as an initiative made by the City of Philadelphia but powered by the people. It is an annual day-long event that includes temporarily shutting down vehicle access to major streets in the city, encouraging residents to visit the street and freely explore the city route. Additionally, this initiative promotes a healthy well-being by offering free fitness and dance classes and stations throughout the streets. It often gives people the chance to experience Philadelphia in a whole new way. The most recent Philly Free Streets was held August 11, 2018 on an 8-mile round-trip stretch of North Broad Street. Over 50,000 people attended, with 45 of the 48 Philadelphia zip codes represented. It is an example of an open street program, which are programs that temporarily open streets to people by closing them to cars.
This project represents good planning practices as it supports the Complete Streets initiative and sets out to educate the residents of the city. Complete Streets are planning for all users. They are designed and operated to enable safe access for all users of that particular corridor, which can include, but is not limited to, pedestrians, bicyclists, motorists, and transit riders of all ages, abilities, and socioeconomic statuses. They improve equity, safety, and public health while reducing transportation costs and traffic congestion. Philly Free Streets also represents great advocacy and public involvement initiatives. It engages community groups and stakeholders along the route. This event is a huge opportunity for Philadelphia to share new ideas and infrastructure projects and for the community to voice their own opinion. It educates participants on how intertwined street designs are with healthy, livable neighborhoods and celebrates the unique character of the various Philadelphia neighborhoods, giving citizens a sense of pride and belonging. Many of you may be thinking that Philly Free Streets just sounds like a big block party or street fair, but that is not the case. While yes, both include temporary vehicle-free streets and a lot of enjoyment, the main goals and objectives are completely different. Philly Free Streets, among other open streets programs, are part of a bigger effort to promote the benefits associated with active transportation, which include physical, mental, emotional, and social well-being. As mentioned, Philly Free Streets is a part of an international open streets movement happening across cities and communities. One of the first, and to this day, best examples of open streets initiatives is Bogota, Colombia. Here they have Ciclovia, or Bikeway in Spanish. Every Sunday from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., as well as holidays, 76 miles of streets is closed to automobile traffic. This initiative began back in 1976, but really grew in the 1990s. Today, about a quarter of the city's population, over 1.5 million people, consistently turn out to walk, bike, skate, and just overall enjoy this outdoor public space. In Seattle, there is Seattle's Play Streets program, which essentially gives participating streets a never-ending block approval. So people on the streets can put up cones or garbage cans at the end of the street to close it to cars whenever they want, without having to submit an application or pay a fee. They only need to notify neighbors. They are trying to encourage the use of neighborhood streets for safe, active play and interaction between all neighbors regardless of age, while also providing a public space where parks and yards are often limited.
Philly Free Streets, like many other open streets programs, has its fair share of challenges. With the high foot traffic that the event created, many store owners hoped that it would reflect in the day's profits. For novelty item shops, cafes, and bars, this was true. But for stores that sold items like high-end clothing, they were virtually empty. People want to go to festivals but not spend money. Along the route, there were dead spots, such as blank walls, streets that were too narrow and caused congestion, and streets too open, it made the participants feel isolated and the event unpopular. The city missed a chance to turn these dead zones into distinct culture pockets. Philly is supposedly a city of neighborhoods, and crossing the city north to south meant that the event could be more equitable and create a bridge between Old City and El Centro de Oro to bring people together that normally don't cross paths on the daily. But participation along the route showed segregation, with more white families staying in the southern end. They could solve this issue by having a Parks on Tap, which is a traveling beer garden event in Philly that utilizes several parks in the city of open streets, celebrating each cultural quadrant of the city to create a more diverse event. The biggest obstacle, however, is the cost. Events like Free Philly Streets can cost a minimum of $10,000 or up to $7,000, which is what San Francisco spends for a similar event. This comes from having to pay overtime for the police officers and traffic control aides to manage routes and intersections. What Bogota has done to bring costs down is to build a larger, volunteer team of people who manage route closures. In conclusion, Philly Streets, along with the entirety of the Open Streets movement, is about so much more than biking and walking versus driving. It is about getting communities active and changing the way people view their streets, public space, and neighborhoods. It gives individuals the chance to become an active participant in the community that they live, work, and grow in. So with that, we thank you for listening, and we ask you, what do you think can be done with non-car focused public spaces?